All right, we're here, Scottsdale National. We're here with Brad Schweigert of PXG. Thanks for having us out. Excited to take a look at the brand new Black Ops woods from PXG. Ton of new tech going into these new woods. Give us a little history though. Like, kind of taught us where did kind of everything start with Black Ops. Like, what was kind of the mission behind what we have today?
Yeah. So thank you for being here first off, yeah. When we approached the early stages of Black Ops, we didn't even know it was going to be Black Ops. We were just trying to develop new technology to make a better performing wood product. You know, driver fairways, hybrids. A lot of that research starts, you know, at the technology level. In this particular case, it started a lot with the face material. We had been working on, you know, trying to evolve and make a better face material to improve the driver performance for some time. And so a lot of the early testing actually started in like Gen 6 bodies with that face material, kind of testing it and trying a bunch of different materials. Not just that one, but a lot of different materials. One of the things we wanted to create was, and we did achieve, was a material that was more flexible but really strong, and that allowed the face to deflect and move and generate more speed, higher launch, lower spin combination, which yields more distance. And that was a big technology feature which we then integrated into a more detailed designs within Black Ops. But that's one of the big technologies in the product. And
it seems like also a lot more carbon fiber on this model as opposed to Gen 6. In previous models, we've got carbon on the sole, carbon on the crown, but it seems like a lot more use of carbon in these heads as opposed to previous models.
Yeah, the Black Ops drivers have a big carbon fiber sheet on the top and a big one in the middle of the golf club, but they still have a connected titanium frame around it. And the way we've developed the body structure is so that we maintain the integrity of the titanium, like exoskeleton, if you will, but use the carbon fiber, which is extremely lightweight but strong and flexible material in the areas where we want to remove the mass, so that we can put that mass to the perimeter and make it play more forgiving. One of the really cool things with the Black Ops is that it just combines incredible levels of distance and forgiveness together in one package. Like, you don't have to make that trade-off anymore as a customer. Like, you know, oh, I want more forgiveness, but it's going to lose some distance. You know, it has both of the best of both worlds. And I would say that the more you know, surprising thing, we developed like multiple heads in the driver for tour players, and the most popular head so far amongst our tour staff, as we developed and tested with this, has been kind of the one that we developed for the masses because of that attribute, because it combines, you know, all the distance that they want with high levels of forgiveness. The guys are picking it up and gravitating towards that head as the most popular choice.
And with all the kind of the new technology and all the kind of the added carbon, all that, you guys are still able to keep your weighting system intact. That was very similar looking to you know, Gen 6, which is, as you were kind of talking about it earlier, really customizable for your fitters in order to kind of really dial in that kind of last bit of adjustment to make the club work with your swing instead of trying to adapt your swing to the driver.
100%. I mean, the weighting system is a big part of optimizing that driver for the individual, so it becomes their driver, your driver, not just a driver. And the way we do that is that, you know, we put the weight in the extreme perimeters. You have one way out on the toe, way out on the heel, and one way back. And so you kind of, you know, take the three areas where you'd want to be able to move the mass, and you move it over a great distance. And then to take it a step further, you know, we're not just kind of sliding a weight around. We have movable weights, and we could shift them up and down. We could split weights. So our weighting system comes default a certain way if you bought the driver online, let's say. But if you come in and get fit, our fitters have all the weights available, and they'll take you through that process, and they'll adjust the weight. They can adjust the head heavier or lighter. They can split weight and move it around, and then when you order it, it'll come to you the way that it was fit, you know, during the fitting process. So you can do it that way. We also sell a weight kit that's aftermarket that you can buy that's pretty, you know, it's not too expensive, and it comes with like one of each of every weight. So if you're a tinker, you want to mess with it more, or you know, want to do it on your own, you can do that as well.
Yeah, and so I mean, the combination of having, you know, multiple movable weights, the adjustable hosel, I mean, your fitters can really, get that club dialed into exactly what you need for your specific launch conditions. And excuse me. And there's two drivers. So we've got the Black Ops, and then we have the Tour 1
Yeah.
as we're calling it, which I know for the Golf to Durex community, that's going to be the one everybody's going to want to try first, even though even the tour players are gravitating more towards the standard Black Ops. Tell us a little about the Tour 1 and how it compares.
Well, the Tour 1, it was developed a lot from the onset based on tour player feedback. So it is, started out as a genesis from that. It's a smaller head profile. It's still 460 cc's, but it's a smaller head profile. So when you look down, it looks a lot, it looks a lot smaller, even though it's the same volume. Just the way it's shaped is quite a bit different. It has a higher crown, a taller face, like more curvature on the crown. The big thing from a performance perspective, it's really, really low spin head.
Yeah.
It's probably the lowest spinning head that's available in the marketplace, that we've tested to date. So it provides a very differentiated performance relative to our standard Black Ops. Our standard head's not a high spin head by any means. It's a very good combination of high launch with, I would say, low to moderate spin. But the Tour 1 is just, it delivers, the way the CG is located, it's more forward in the golf club, so it delivers with less loft at impact, so it launches lower and spins a lot less. So if you're a player that is really high speed and you tend to spin it a little bit more, it's a product that can help you control your trajectory, control your spin quite a bit more, which, when you get up at speeds, that keeping that spin down is critical to hitting it far. So yeah.
And we typically have a lot of members and followers who are kind of in those tour range speeds and things like that. But you also mentioned, though, as much as it is a more compact head, a little deeper face, it's still pretty forgiving for what it is. I mean, you're not going to get really penalized for if you do miss the center.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we found working with tour players, they care so much about forgiveness. People might not realize that, especially with drivers. Like the irons, they play a real small, compact head. It's not like they hit it right in the middle of the iron all the time. But even on woods, they at their speed, they're mishitting it enough that they'll get that gearing and they'll get misses. So they want to maximize the MOI as much as possible. When you look at the Tour 1, it has a very compact head, but it has a really big face. So the face is still, heel toe length is kind of maximized, and the MOI is really high. It's above 5,000 for those that follow those type of numbers. It's still a really high forgiving head. So not as high as Black Ops, but it has a high level of forgiveness. So if you miss hit it heel or toe, high or low, it's still going to get a really good result out of it.
Yeah, no, it's for me, I'm more standard Black Ops. That wasn't my fitting, but the Tour 1 does look really good. I got to got to see it and experience it. And then we move into the fairway woods, and kind of the same thing. We're looking at kind of more distance, more carry, and more forgiveness. And kind of what's the story behind the Black Ops fairway woods?
Yeah, there's actually a material story in the face of the Black Ops too. Like we of the fairway woods as well. It's a steel structure, so it's a really, really high strength steel material that allows to go really thin. I mean, 70 thousandths on the face thickness. It's extremely thin geometry, about 12.5% thinner than where we were in the past. So our Gen 6 fairway woods had an 80 thousandths face, so it's 10 thousandths thinner. It's a significant reduction. That gave us more speed, higher launch, better launch characteristics, more penetrating trajectory, gives us more distance. And then we saved that mass out of the face. We really pushed that to perimeter, and we got much higher levels of forgiveness. So again, we've combined, I think what everybody's looking for, in terms of distance and forgiveness together in one package, and then make it really flexible so they can be fit to individual needs as well with our weighting system. So
yeah, and you may look at that number and say, oh, it's only this minute amount of difference in terms of that face thickness, but it makes a big difference. And also, you could make it super, super thin, but then you have to worry about durability as well. So you kind of ride that fine line of finding materials that can do both.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely we're pushing the limits on durability all the time as well. We're trying to get as much performance out of it as we possibly can. But we want it to last, we want it to hold up, and we design our products so they hold up to pretty high speed players, working with tour players and stuff. So everybody at this stage, is, I don't know where all the speed comes from, but everybody's got, I need to find some of that myself, but
Me too. I'll take a little dose.
But they swing it pretty fast. It's got to hold up to those club head speeds. So
yeah, and with the that again, we've got movable weights and adjustable hosel, again, to let fitters dial in, really to kind of, and the amount of lofts that you make in the fairway woods, you can really dial in and figure out that gapping for almost any player.
Yeah, and our fitters, they're really well trained, very knowledgeable about how all of our systems work. We have, along with our adjustable fitting system, we have a myriad of shafts that are available, grips, and then even in our hosel, we have a lot of adjustability within the hosel to go flatter. That's a lot of times with fairways and hybrids, they use some of those flat settings to kind of fine tune for players. So there's just stronger and weaker lofts as well within the hosel. So there's a lot that they can do to kind of tune that club in for the player, and they understand how all the technology works, and they can take the customer through that. I think that's one of the things that's, for those people out there who haven't, been through a PXG custom fitting experience, I do think it's very differentiated to what you get in traditional retail. Like there's just not even close to the same. I would say the knock. Some people say, well, you can't try all these different clubs, but you don't have to. Like you come in and you also, when you're trying all those different clubs, you're not getting anywhere near like optimized for them. So when you come into our experience with our guys, they're gonna spend that time, spend your swings, dialing you in for you into our product, and the experience is just not anywhere near like just going into a big box retailer and banging balls or whatever. It's just not the same.
And you made it actually kind of an interesting point about it, because the weighting system that you guys use is in a way kind of a simple weight design. I mean, it's a round weight, screws into the sole and in different places. But like you mentioned, you go to other fitting locations that have a fitting cart from every manufacturer, and who knows where the weights are, and can you find that 17-gram weight you need or that 5-gram weight? And in the in your PXG stores, all that stuff is right there and set up to be.
Our system would be like completely rejected by traditional golf retail. Like they would be like, oh, it's too complicated. There's too many parts. We lose a part. Like that's the advantage of doing it ourselves with our own range fitters. We can design technology that really works. I mean, it flat out works for people. But if you try to take that to I don't even want to name names, any kind of big box retailer, they would have a really difficult time like executing to that system. They would probably just sell it in a standard configuration, and maybe you move the weights around that are with it, but they're not going to adjust it up and down and split. I mean, we make weights in 2.5 gram increments from 2.5 grams to 20 grams. So you can fine tune like the whole thing all the way up and down, and you have 3 ports. So you through 3 ports, you can pick any weight configuration that you want in all 3 ports. That's a lot of options.
Yeah, and easily to customize length. I mean, there's certain players. I mean, I'm unfortunately a short player, or maybe not unfortunately, but I'm 5'9". Like I don't do great with really long clubs, so I could get a shorter build and be able to easily change weights to make sure the swing weight still stays correct.
Yeah, that's
just as simple as that.
100%. Yeah, we also carry, like in our fitting matrix, we carry shafts at various lengths. Like every single shaft that's in our matrix, we carry it in at least 45 and 45 and a half, so that there's those two. A large percentage of the shafts we carry at 44 and a half and 46 as well. So like we have a lot of flexibility to fit length. And so, that's a big part of getting the driver that's optimal for an individual, is getting the length right.
Yeah, and then we also have Black Ops hybrids. So, which is kind of, I feel like a little bit expanded. I mean, we go 2 through 7 iron replacement. So we have 2 hybrid through 7 hybrid. So, yeah, depending on where you feel comfortable in your iron set, you definitely have a hybrid that you can then jump off into.
You can play a bag full of hybrids and
that's right.
and go straight into wedges or whatever. Like it's and that's another thing. Like with PXG, the way we sell our products too. If you come into our stores, you see a sticker price of hybrids and you're like, oh, those are really expensive. But we've had some great opportunities where through our full bag bundles, and we have a 7 club special bundle where it's like you can mix and match hybrids with your irons as part of that, and the set price is actually less than 7 iron pieces. So like you get these hybrids that are like higher cost, but you're getting for that 7-piece package. If typically whatever the price is of that, it's less than if it was just 7 iron pieces. So there's a lot of inherent value there. So that's one thing. People come in, we don't even have that available currently on our website. So when you come into our stores, that's a promotion that you hear about, and our fairs take you through. And the best thing about that is it takes like price out of the equation for like, maybe I only want to do 1 hybrid or 2 hybrid because they're like more expensive. Like that allows you to just pick the ones that are really
Work
fit
best.
your game and
Yeah.
fit your game. So.
Yeah, exactly. So if you went in and said, yeah, my budget was only for maybe 1 or 2, and then you
Yeah.
can, well, I really need 3 because this is where I feel comfortable. Yeah, you're not limited by that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the other thing I kind of forgot to mention with drivers, we talked a little bit about kind of with the Black Ops launch and spin and how the Black Ops driver itself launches a little bit higher, doesn't spin a ton, but it does give your fitters kind of an option to sometimes, where they can, maybe lower the loft number on the head.
Yeah.
And then people can see some kind of added performance from that because they're still getting the launch they need, low spin, but they're seeing maybe a little bit of added ball speed that way.
That's the great thing with like a driver that launches higher, which the Black Ops definitely does. It's probably the highest launching driver on the marketplace. Is it gives the fitter a lot more flexibility to go to less loft, and you know, a big part of speed is how much loft has a big effect, and then also, you know, it also lowers spin as well. So if you have a driver that launches inherently much higher, you can play less physical loft, you get more of a direct impact, and you get, you know, more speed, lower spin rate, and even more distance. And so like it's one of the things that we've seen with our fitters, you know, in working with our tour players recently, is like the Tour 1 is a great head. It's a really low spin head, but their optimal kind of specs for that head typically are with like at least 1.5, if not more, degrees of actual loft than what the standard Black Ops head is. And so once you kind of get it tuned in, of where it's like their specs are dialed in, or their launch conditions are dialed in for them, then you're getting very similar kind of launch and spin characteristics for them, but it's with 2 heads that are very different in actual loft. Typically the Black Ops is about 1.5 to 2 degrees lower than what the Tour 1 is, to get those same kind of ideal launch characteristics. Yeah,
and with all kind of the new tech in the Black Ops series, especially with like the Fairway Woods and hybrids, I know before we used to see 2 different models. You know, like Gen 6, we saw a standard and an XF. Are you able to kind of combine kind of the best of both worlds a little bit?
100% what we did. Like, so we made it like, when we looked at XF, we're like, oh, this is really forgiving, but it's not achieving the distance performance that people want. So they're kind of making that trade-off, and it's like, you know, that sucks that you have to make that trade-off. We're like, why do you want to make that? Nobody wants to make that trade-off. You want them both. You want them together. And so like doing it, combining it so that they're really forgiving and perform outstanding from a distance perspective, kind of takes the decision-making process away, and you just get to get the best of both worlds in one package. It also, like in a fitting environment, you know, you come in and you're getting, you know, it's a long process. You have, you know, especially if you're doing a full bag, you got to go driver, you know, irons, and then fairways and hybrids, and you only have so many swings, wedges, and so it's like it becomes a bit overwhelming. So simplifying that and giving, you know, stuff that works, candidly just works really well, it makes that process a little bit more efficient, and you know, at the end of the day, they probably get a better experience and a better fit, you know, by you know, removing some of that decision making and some of that complexity.
Yeah, I agree. So I've been excited. I was really surprised and kind of impressed with what I got to hit yesterday. We're going to hit a little more today on the range, or out on the course, which is exciting. So we're going to put them to the real test. But Brad, thank you very much for the time. Appreciate it. Excited for the brand new PXG Black Ops Woods. It's going to be a good year.
Awesome. Thank you again so much for your time.
All right. Thanks.
Appreciate it.